friends, we're continuing our Enough Talk video podcast, card by card review. We are now on to the dragon, the great mystical, sit in the mountains. Oh, they're so confusing and indefatigable dragon. And here's our dragon stronghold, and it feels very similar. I feel like I've seen this before. I'm getting a sense of deja vu.
That's right. Just this time we can now play our out of clan monks from
Yep.
Coils of
So
Madness. So
here's
take
the
that
Stronghold
extended
of
edition.
Ruins, Ivory Arc, or Ivory Extended. Yeah, so it ruins that. We still can't play Void because Brian Reese hates me and you specifically.
Specifically, we're on the shit list.
And there's some text about senseis, which matters. That's just like a templating thing that they had to do so that they could make other senseis that don't become completely absurdly busted. We liked this Stronghold before. We still like it now, right? I mean, I loved it before.
I think it actually got better because the Crane Akagi Sensei is out. So now starting
So
water is
starting
not just
water,
it's not just a poopy version of Crane. It's now a real thing again. I
right?
think
People will
water
still
monks
start
will be
air
great.
because start it. So it's like you can kind of have the crab stronghold, and you could have water. Some people will start earth. It's very flexible. You can pick and choose. No one will start fire because it's still terrible. That was a real big
They
miss for
couldn't have
me. The
just
fact.
thrown repeatable on there for me. Come on, guys.
Yeah. And we'd like to start void, but we can't. I would totally start void with 0 cards in hand too. Like
Oh,
if they let me do
absolutely. If they
that,
let me do
I would.
that,
I would.
are you kidding me? It would
So.
I would even like I would mill 5 off the top and then start void.
So same as it ever was, still very good, still very strategically flexible, will lend itself to a lot of decks. So let's move on to the personalities. And we have Inosuke Kitsuki. There's a bunch of magistrates and courtiers, and if you had given me a list of things to guess that the set would feature for Dragon, magistrates and courtiers would not have come up on my list. I mean, I know that they're part of the faction, but and Dragon have always been the faction that's guys who are magistrates and courtiers, but not samurai. But I would not have predicted this, and so I'm a
Here it
little
is.
surprised. Um, this guy's fine. He's expendable, which is a trait I like. He gains destined, which is a trait I like even more. Offensive courtier attack decks are something to look into. We'll talk about the dishonor sub theme when we see some more of the clear, straightforward dishonor cards. This guy is not a duelist. The magistrates for Dragon in this arc aren't very duel oriented. I don't like this guy because I don't know what I'm supposed to do with him. I'd rather
Yeah, I
just make the
think
monk.
this is the wrong application of courtesy. I think courtesy as a trait has been sort of completely botched. And we talked a lot about it in the last New Order review, and I talked about how I thought it should be this tempo swingy thing that can let you get back in the game after the first attack or win the first defensive battle. This guy does none of that. It's just this little extra card that's tacked on there every once in a while. Just like the crab guy that's got that obnoxiously on the nose flavor text. Like, look, he's pointing at a mark and he talks about the mark. I do think this guy is a cool flavor hit because he's like a crime investigator. He's not like the guy that goes out and catches the bad guys. He's like a crime scene guy. So that's why he's a courtier and a magistrate.
Yeah, and he's got 3 PH, so like you look at him and you think, okay, courtier honor. I don't think Dragon is where you want to be for Courtier Honor. I think it's always just going to be a sort of weaker variation of Crane Honor. So I don't know what to make. Now this guy, I absolutely know what to make of because I played him a bunch in Samurai Edition.
Yep.
Now I played him in a format where I got to pay 2 less gold to buy him, but I paid 7 for him a bunch too because I proclaimed him and I used him to duel and I used him to gain honor and I used his battle ability a bunch. And I'd attack with him, I'd defend with him. I like Kitsuki Gochi. He's a very solid card, and so if that kind of sort of magistrate sit honor deck is going to work at all, it's going to be with on the backs of a guy like Gochi who lets you sort of have some the ability to switch gears from time to time is critically important for those decks. And I like Gochi.
This guy's
And it's just a
awesome.
difference of like you pay a little bit more gold, you get a little bit better stats, and he does something. Drawing a fate card when you die, or if you go second, is good, but not as good as just sending a dude home.
Yeah, just send you away. This is nuts, man. Like no bow
And
on a
sometimes
solid
he'll send
body.
himself home in weird situations, and he's really solid. So
Yep.
perfectly fine guy.
Awesome guy. Not like this is the opposite situation of some of the sort of bad cards we gloss over. This is just so self-evidently good. Like this is gonna be a staple of every dragon deck. He goes in offensive decks, he goes in defensive decks. Like he's just great.
Yep. If you're trying to duel it all, you look at him because he's got 4 chi. If you're trying to gain honor, he's got 3 pH. And if you're just trying to attack, he's got a pretty relevant battle ability. So.
All right, let's talk about Katsuki Masamitsu.
Right. So another magistrate. This one's a Shugenja and a courtier. Obviously, I think they just sort of threw magistrate on top of a lot of things because there was a real dearth of them coming into 20 festivals. This guy is you have the Bat Clan chick, but she doesn't gain you honor, so give him the secrets on the wind and watch him roll, man.
Yeah, that's what he's for. That chick was really awesome. This guy doesn't draw you cards like she does, so I hesitate to make the straight comparison.
Yes.
But still, straightening your Shugenja is important. I talk a lot about how these Dirtle like do stuff in the limited phase decks really bottleneck on bodies in play to do things with, and abilities like this can really push you through to the next action, get you to the next turn.
And I said secrets, so I sort of I envision him in the sort of Dishonor deck or a variation of Dishonor, but also I mean he's so far every dragon we've seen has 3 pH, and that's going to be a continuing theme. So he's probably going to find himself in some number of honor decks. He can attach Seeking the Way as good as any other Shugenja can attach Seeking the Way. He's got the air trait. You can give him Ward of Air. Very flexible card, appropriately costed.
The only thing that's important to note for this guy is he has to have cast the spell to straighten.
Correct. He can't just have it. He has to have cast it.
Yeah. So he's a little less flexible than the other one, but still a great card, and I'll certainly be playing him. Akifumi?
So this is sort of I don't know, did you catch the joke?
I catch the joke.
Look at the name, Akafume. Do you remember any other Akafumes?
There was an Oni?
No, go ahead and do a quick Oracle search for Akafume, and you would see that there was a 3 gold cost, unaligned guy, monk named Akafume, and his gimmick was like enlightenment. He gave you the enlightened trait. Remember the enlightened trait? Mm-hmm. And for those who don't remember, the enlightened trait was like you could bow the enlightened guy to straighten your ring, or bow a ring to straighten your enlightened guy, and then you read his ability, and it's like it's kind of a funny in-joke sort of thing, right? That's probably where he gets his name from. I don't know. So, hey, it's another 3PH guy. This is a straight attack guy, and he's a perfectly fine straight attack guy. It's pretty easy to put rings into play now. You have long-term fruition. You start with one, and there's a Shugenja that you can play to pay 3 gold to put a ring out. So it's easy enough to trigger his ability. I don't know how great the ability is. I mean, I guess it lets me, defend playing my terrible Ring of Fire to put my Ring of Fire out to bomb a Ring of Fire to turn it into a pseudo Ring of Air. But this guy's okay. I don't looking at the pH, I feel like Dragon's moving into a very honor-centric place, and this guy doesn't feel like he really fits into that for me. But if there is a here's my low to the ground attack swarmy military deck that every other faction tries to play at some point, this guy might end up in it. I just don't think I care that much about his ability.
Yeah, you forgot that the Enlightened trait also conferred a bonus of +1 force for each ring you play on Enlightened personalities. So if you had that, I'd be all over this guy. As it stands.
So, are we missing some sort of you can bow him to straighten the ring to use the ring again? So I guess you can defend,
right?
And I don't know, you can get more water use. I mean, there's some flexibility there.
I think it's with Earth. You can, if you're doing an attack, you Earth their thing, you Earth their action.
Oh, I get it. So you trigger your Ring of Fire, and then you can straighten hit. Then you bow your guy, straighten your Ring of Fire, use Ring of Fire again, and now that he's bowed, certainly.
Oh wait. Is not refutable. No, I think his best interaction was with Earth because they do an action, you cancel, you straighten Earth, and then you can cancel their next action again. With Water, it's a little less whelming because what are you gonna do? Bow him, straighten Water, send himself home. Feels pretty whatever.
Yep.
But straighten his own. If he was a Kensei or something, you could use the rings to straighten him. As it stands, he's just kind of he's a solution looking for a problem. I'm not sure that I'm in the market for what he's selling.
Yeah, I don't. You look at him sort of numerically as a card, and he seems fine. I don't know what the home is, right? He's not a Kensei. He's just a samurai. He doesn't gain you honor. He does this ring thing. He just doesn't feel like he fits anywhere.
He's even got a little bit of salt on him. He's void but not a shug, so he can't even cast
Yep.
Strength of the Fifth Ring. Well, he reminds me a lot of the Love Letter Monk that we like a lot, who also
Yeah.
you can sort of bow rings to do things, except that guy's really good, and this guy's really so-so. Let's talk about Deny. Do you have
Hey.
anything to say about Deny?
Right. Pretty much the exact same thing as the guys we just said. 3 PH, 5 gold. I used to play him more because he has a dash, and I'd play corrupt gold, which I don't need to waste my time doing anymore. So I guess Lane of Immorality kind of counts. He's 4-chi. You'll maybe play him in some kind of dual deck, and that's it. I have nothing to say about this guy.
Dragon's had this guy forever, and he always
And he's
seems to
always
float
he's
in and out
always
of
fit
decks.
in the exact same space. He's always
Yeah,
just been the random deck that needs to issue a couple of duels, and you want a cheaper guy, and there you go.
yeah. Here, I need something to come one with. I feel like
So
we're
which
going
really
through these really quick, but
because there's just not a lot to say about him, right? I think they're just sort of this is the first guy that I think really takes us a moment where we have to look at his ability, read it, look at his stats, and say, okay, what can we do with Rikiya? And he's a cool guy, move home a enemy defending guy, and so you attack with him and you send him home, and it's a straightforward, sort of aggressive, attacking duelist guy. Now, you used to get him for 4 gold. Now you have to pay the full 6, but he's well costed at that point. Straightens if you want to duel. It's a little bit set up, knockdown. This guy's really cool, and this is the first guy that sort of I envision a deck that I'm excited to play, and I'm excited to use this guy, and I think it's a good ability. You can see him and Bear Eye in the same deck attacking together with a couple of attachments.
hmm.
So I think this is the first card that's called for longer commentary. I like him. Having said that, this might be Dragon's weakest deck.
Yeah, he's a 3-chi duelist, which we're starting to see them move away from a little bit, thankfully. But especially in this sort of duel-centric universe, with like a lot of duelists splashed here and there, having just 3-chi and being a duelist doesn't super get me up in the morning. But you're right, the battle ability is the story here. You made a comment about one of the Crane guys where why can this only be played on the defense? Well, I'm gonna make the same comment here. Like, why can't I send you guys home when I defend?
I agree.
But it's a powerful, flexible ability. I think send home
If it
is
just said move home your defending personality too, you could talk me into it. Like you could borrow him to send home your own guys and stuff like that. The fact that it's a target enemy defending is a bit salty.
yeah. I think that people are going to lock in on that straighten line and sort of say, well, I have to have played you to duel to get the full value out of him. Not really. You're starting air. So
Yep.
just start air, bow, send home their big guy with a follower and a battle ability, and straighten him with air if you need it, or just
And
play
it's
Earth
this
to keep him
turn,
home.
so you can
Like,
you can win some sort of goofy duel in the limited phase.
and this could be a home for the guy we were just looking at, the Akifumi guy. That
Yep.
um, send home is a really powerful action suite right now. It's always like just because battle actions are so.
It's
Send
just
home
one of the
sort of
things you
goes
can
up.
do, right? Yeah, like there's not a lot of destruction. Send home is,
Well, Send home answers begins like we don't have deliberations. We don't have crushing advance. Like
Yep.
there's no card that like lets you just take out their big guy, except for send him home. And
Yep.
Dragon is a good home for that because they can play Earth that lets you stick it all the time.
That's true. I agree.
So like
So
I can envision a deck with like this guy starting Earth and like Brazen Disregard with like some action
some
suites.
incapacitated, just sort of get under there to get some guys out, attack, send them home, keep them home. I like it.
Exactly. Yeah.
They try to move in. I earth. I straighten my earth. Yeah, that's actually really cool.
So yeah, I
I
think this is a really cool card. Totally, please come on, guys, read my Whippoorwill article. Like he's holding two swords.
like. What are we doing here?
What are we doing here? Is it so hard to just have him hold one sword?
There's you will notice Kensei is not well represented in the dragon cards, or maybe you won't notice, but I noticed.
I did notice that because they're all holding two swords. It's I mean one of the things they're doing in 20 festivals is shuffling up what all the different clans do, and I like that. I think that's a cool thing they
Sure.
haven't done yet in L5R, and it keeps the game fresh and interesting. So this is a cool guy. Play him. Look into this action suite. Let's pop on to
Hey,
our
yep.
Suda.
So he's the Emerald Champ. Emerald Champs are not as potent as they once were, but he's got a kill guy duel, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So he kills a dishonorable guy.
Yep. Or he
5G
sends him home, right?
duelist.
Yep. He's expensive as all get out. I thought about like, would I ever try to reach for him out of clan? Is his battle ability good enough? I don't think so. I think 10 gold's too much. I don't think I can justify him in a Crane deck or something like that. But he's in every dragon deck that says duel and has any kind of dishonor element. You're gonna play him because he kills things and
Yep. The only thing wrong with this guy is that Ninja Shapeshifter is too cheap.
Yeah. Oh, Ninja Shapeshifter. Well, that might call for an entire article.
We might call for an entire video. Like we'll do like one for each clan, like one for all the action, and then the Ninja Shapeshifter video.
Yep.
But this guy's I think this guy is great. On a scale of 1 to tattoo his art on my back, I'd put him at like a 6.
He makes me think like they have like him and Kuni Renyu, like, so they do have an idea of how to make a cool, fun, exciting, unique personality, and this is one of it. And he's not game breaking, he's not overpowered, but at the cost and the price point and the uniqueness, like this guy's solid, and that's cool.
Agreed. The 10 and the 8 honor rec doesn't even bother me so bad because of all the 3s we're seeing in Dragon.
Tons of threes. It's just means he can't be your first guy. He gets to be your second, no problem.
Yeah, and it's just a unique guy. If he was a non-unique, I'd bust him down a little bit for that 8. But as a single unique guy with a really powerful battle action,
it would be a whole. If it was non-unique, there'd be a whole deck built around him, though. Like there'd be a whole deck that's just like, give me my 3/5 dually kill guys. Like that'd just be a deck.
For sure.
Which I'd be okay with.
I'd play that deck, whatever. All right. I want sharks. I want the sharks to have laser beams on their heads.
Yep.
What is happening in this picture?
So the element of earth is common in all living things. While my temple may have no great wall of stone, it is guarded all the same. So yeah, I don't know. He's imbued the animals with earth mysticism powers, which turns them into demon hellish things.
But like the panda bear is the one. Like when I look at this picture, I can't.
The green eyes.
It's shooting green lightning bolts out of his eyes. This looks like something that I doodled on the side of my math notebook in 7th grade. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, and the panda bear's got laser beam eyes, and the cat.
You can't really see it, but clearly the bird has something coming out of its eyes as well.
They've all got eyeballs.
Are these the Power Ranger spirit animals? Is that what's happening here?
No. You're way off on the Power Rangers, but I do dig it. My beef is that his temple in the background is clearly built out of stone.
But there's no great wall of stone.
Well, Woophole Man powers activate. Those are walls I see around that room, sir. All right.
So I didn't play this guy. He was in Gates of Chaos, which is that far back. I didn't play him then. I'm not going to play him now. I guess the question is, would I play him in Ivory Strict? I mean, just Bow. He's okay, but he's still too expensive for me.
There's a lot of overlap with the one monk that Dragon has, the 5 gold monk that's Bow Destroy an attachment.
Yeah.
So this guy really kind of gets pushed out. 8 gold is so much. 3, 4. Couldn't even give him 5 chi to push him to province crushing with a Stones of Purity. There's a lot of rubbins in this card, and it's not just the. It
says Earth. People will try to play him for Earth stuff, but I will not.
They'll be wrong too.
Someone page Luke Gregory and get the final opinion on what we're supposed to do with this guy.
Let's talk about.
Hey, it's the card that I thought was a lion card until I looked at it like 6 different times.
This definitely looks like a lion card. Yeah, the way that the lighting is done.
Yeah, this is one of the few times where I could have really used some like Dragon Clan in the keywords there. This card's really interesting. I kind of really love this card. I like giving followers cavalry. That's just something I've always really enjoyed. I don't think it's a good ability to give a fear equal to focus value, but I kind of like it when cards reference these sort of underused traits. Like focus is a thing that's on cards that we almost never care about,
Yep.
and suddenly I get to care about it. Cavalry Shugenja is good. He's a commander that may at some point matter in the future. So I'm really sort of excited about Tamori Saiken. I wish this card was a non-unique.
Absolutely, and it seems like a perfect candidate for one of their experienced but not unique guys.
Yep.
I just really like this card. I like that when you're playing with him, you're going to attack, and then you're going to do the battle. What you'll have to do is like stop and pick him up and pull all the spells out and like individually look, because you're going to forget, like, well, shucks, like where's Hitomi's devotions focus? Like, I got no idea. But I think those are cool little moments. Like we make fun of cards like that sometimes, but I do think that those times when you stop and reference some of the more interesting game state information that L5R gives us to look at, I think it's cool. That's part of the reason why we play this game.
I can't at the moment. I mean, Enslaved Jin is maybe non-human. Like at the moment, I'm just like, what's a good non-human follower? That I mean, I can give him a Bounded Spirit, I guess. Like I don't know what a good non-human follower is that would even benefit that much from Cavalry. So, but you know, I mean, I like this guy.
The Servitor of Stone followers.
There you go.
There you go.
The Mugina's the one. It's like a fair effect, and I don't know. Okay. But anyway, he's pretty cool. So. Yeah. Shoko Noko. I can't even come up with a fun, jokey, rhymey thing to make fun of this card. I guess it's so completely underwhelmed. Another commander I pointed out just because one day that might mean something. Give a guy -2 forces an okay ability, so I guess this is supposed to be a defensive card. To me, this had to have 3 pH or cost only 3 or 4 gold, or to be in any way interesting. Does this sort of filler personality excite you in any way?
It's a draft. This is a very clear draft guy to me. I like him a lot as 4. I love him at 3. At 5, it doesn't really get me up in the morning. It's not an offensive guy, and I always reference the Chi for these Shugenjas because the only card that matters is Stones of Purity, the card I keep talking over and over about.
But there's a new Earth bonus force card that like gives you +2 force and makes a melee attack and something else.
Sure, but like we care about attacking on 4 or attacking on 3, and that's where Stones and Guidance come in. So we've played 1 force guys with 5G.
I still do.
Tamori Heisenberg is 1 force 5G because he stones him to 6, and that's perfectly fine. This guy just stones to 5 force. And then that's still a long way off. So if this is your first purchase, it's not good enough. Like a battle no bow -2 force, that ain't nothing. You know, we've seen that on Lion guys, and it was really good.
You know, if you make it an open, it's a whole different card, right? So it's just one of those cards that's kind of close to something, but isn't really.
Actually, yeah, the open thing, I feel like they really missed something on this card with it being open.
Yep.
All right. Here's another. Every time I see a Conqueror, you know, I think, okay, this might not look like much, but it's a Conqueror. Like that's something.
Yeah, and we've seen it. It's the mirror image of the Phoenix variation, where they have a fire one who's a Conqueror, and that's pretty solid too. And this guy is equally solid. The lower chi makes him less appealing for your Stones of Purity stuff, but other spells will benefit greatly from it. It's hard to formulate any real great positive or negative on a card like this. The question is, are there enough sort of Shugenja to make an aggressively positioned attacking deck work? There's already the guy who, when he's destined, gains, or when he's courtesied, gains naval, right? And +2, and so like you can run them in concert and have these 2, 3 force guys at 6, and maybe if you're going second, you have naval plus you have a. He's a cool personality. I like him. I'll try him in my sort of monk / Shugenja deck.
Yeah, well,
not a lot. Probably 2 copies.
Shugenjas benefit a lot from Conqueror. You know, you put like a Final Ruin on them and attack, and you threaten the defense, and then like they don't defend, and you can threaten with the defense. The problem is 2 chi matters on all these spells. Like all the spells reference chi. Like Final Ruin to get 2 or something. It's not.
Right. So Conquerors really support this sort of big all-in unit approach, and I don't know if there's enough spells to make that kind of here's my big tower work.
Come on.
But he might work in a sort of spread out my Shugenjas, spread out my monks, and then just use them for redirecting rages and Wrath of Osanawo stuff. Again, though, the chi matters.
Right, and like his rewraths for 2, he redirects for 3. He might like the numbers might not quite be there, but again, like Conquer is the real deal, especially on Shugenja, where you made this comment about you don't know if there's enough spells. Of course, there's enough spells. You got Guidance and
Yeah.
Stones and Final Ruin and Devotion and the new ones. I don't think that's even a question. I think that Shugenja is by and far the most supported Conqueror of all.
Sure.
So
Because there's no limit.
right,
There's
you
no
just
like,
keep throwing stuff down. There's all this free stuff. The
and the victory through deference sort of blowout's going to go away. So
Oh, we can talk about that. So this is funny. If we pan over here, I don't know if I here. I'll try to adjust my thing. Let me adjust my scene. So if you look at the Oracle text, the Oracle, not the card, the Oracle text, you'll see that Shugenja is still a bolded keyword. And I
they just
believe,
changed how the rules work or something, right? They changed the rules, not the way victory through deference works.
no, I know they said that Shugenja is no longer a bolded keyword, right? But I'm telling you, like you look at the keyword list on Oracle.
No, they're changing the rules to say that once a spell is attached to a Shugenja, even if he loses the Shugenja trait, he can still cast the spell. That's what they're changing.
Well,
You'll
Shugenja's not bolded either.
Okay, well, whatever.
Whatever. You're not playing my game.
I'm playing your game. I just don't know how to get engaged with it. It's like this kind of nonsense happens all the time with them. So
Let's talk about
you're
Togashi
trying to
Karasu. He
point
was
out that they
from
didn't fix the problem they wanted to fix, but they're just going to have I mean, we know how they work. It's a fiat system. They just say it
yeah.
doesn't
I'm
work this way anymore.
just trying to be smarmy. Let's talk about
You're
Karasu. He was
just
from Celestial, so he might be really good.
he was from Emperor, not Celestial. He's from Emperor. He's from the Shadow's Embrace. You were around for this guy.
No, I know. Oh yeah, Emperor. You're right. Sorry, I got the names confused. I meant last
I think he's probably too expensive, but the numbers aren't terrible. Bow to draw a card, and you can start throwing a Air. I mean, that's pretty great, right?
Absolutely.
He's a tactician. He doesn't really fit. Is the problem with him right now? I mean, he's just a monk right now. He's a little under supported, I think, in terms of like how much support monks got in 20 festivals, but I'm not sure they needed any.
Right. I don't think they need any at all. I think you can slide into a deck that's on the same lines as the one you've been playing. Like it
Yep.
generates force for your first attack. Like you can hold a Inkyo, go to 6 force
Yep.
attack a 3 kind of thing.
Yep.
Like
And draws cards and stuff. He's a really cool card. The question is he slightly too expensive? Hard to say. I like him. He's not. There's so many tacticians that are 6 gold, 3/3, and don't see play that also have abilities and things. The question is how powerful is bowing to draw a card when you're attacking? And sometimes really powerful, sometimes not powerful at all. But we like to draw cards, and I like this guy.
I love drawing cards. I do like this guy. If there's any cards, I don't know the tactician pool right now. If there's anything that pays off for playing tactician.
Death on the Winds is reprinted. That's back, and Sun Returns.
Yep. So maybe not, but I'll certainly give him. I'll certainly give him a whirl. And anything that says draw a card, I'm the kind of guy that will just try to force it into the deck.
Yep,
Square peg meet round circle. Like I will make this happen.
we're going. The classic, man. If this guy let me just bow to draw cards while defending, it'd just be
Just a
ice
total
cream
ridiculous.
cake.
I defend over. I
It'd be
defend over
cake
here.
boss, man.
How about you?
Total cake boss.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to. So you know what I love in a card, Jesse?
Text Togashi read me here.
I love it when I open up my pack, get my 20 fast, I crack open my pack, I slide to the back, find the star, locate my rare, and then proceed to read 9 lines of text. That's what always makes me happy.
Dragon is the king of this. There was the guy a couple sets back, the magistrate that cares about karmic, like he's 2 gold less if you're this, and he's progressive is 1 gold less and this. I love that card because you read it all and then you realize, okay, it doesn't do anything.
It's
This
just
guy,
cheaper depending on yeah.
this guy's
So
different. He does stuff.
it's based on your ring. So let's point out that he gets a melee 2 attack if you start throwing a fire. Now that's right in the middle of the card, but I just like to point out that like the lamest thing he gets is from the crappiest ring. Like you think they would have inverted it, right? Like he should have like if you have throwing a fire, he should have like melee 17 or something. I feel
That's
like
right. Give you some
like
reason. You probably still wouldn't start fire.
no, I wouldn't. But so he gets cavalry for air, +2/+1 for earth. That's the one that's most exciting to me because a 4/3 guy
4/3
for 6 is really
yeah.
good value. And then water gives him conqueror. Void gives him destined and expendable.
Yep.
Um, is that yeah? So we assume that the stuff triggers just when he's in your province. We'll just assume that's how he works because otherwise gaining destined would be pointless.
Yep.
Now he does get like he gives me a reason to like play long-term fruitions, right? He gets better as rings come out.
As though I needed another one.
Like,
and that's the thing is that if you're playing a deck that's on triple long-term fruition and you're running 4 rings, like most of the dragon decks will be, I think, he's excellent because you're starting Earth. He's a 4/3 that's going to pick up either cavalry or conqueror over the course of the game. That's not for nothing. If you can get him to be if you can consistently get him to be like a 4/3 cavalry for 6, like now we're talking crane level, we're talking unicorn level.
Right, and you can, there's the guy that puts the Ring of Void out, and you give him to, like, you pay 3 gold, you put out Void, you draw a card, you buy this guy, you draw another card. He's pretty cool. He'll get played in a bunch of our goofy sort of, like, fun setup, try to get really good value cards. At the end of the day, it's just going to depend on the complexion of your deck, but I see him in a number of military decks, and I see him being very good there.
Yep, and I think the way to analyze this guy is just based on the Earth numbers and look at him as a numbers card. And
just look at it as him 4/3 for 6, and you're starting the Ring of Earth, and that's not bad. In fact, it's quite good.
Everything else is gravy. There might be like Monk. I think does not benefit much from Conqueror, and a 2/2 Conquerors like that's not taking provinces. If you can get like Earth Water on turn 1, like you start Earth, play Water off of fruition on 1 by this guy on like 2 or 3, go to town. Like I see that. But that's not.
I just feel like, I mean, he's clearly got the soul gem all like, the Magus. He's got the soul gem right in his forehead. I just feel like he should be powerful if we start Void. And really, I feel like he should say, like, if you have the Ring of Void, draw 17 cards. That would be fair.
That would be fair. I'd play that card.
Sure.
And then we get to Togashi Tsukagi. This is from last year. I remember this guy. I remember him because
he was in Emperor Edition, and his Emperor Edition variation was actually the soul. Or I guess this is the same guy as in Emperor Edition, but Akage is like Celestial Edition.
Right.
This guy's been around. I loved Akage had this great like Hulk-like flavor text that was very much like you wouldn't like him when he's angry. I played this guy a whole lot for a long time, and I'll probably try to play him now. 4/4 for 7 is just fine and solid numbers.
Yeah, I think that's excellent right now. I think he goes in that sort of redirecting rage type deck.
Yep, he fits right into that deck. Just another slightly more expensive but really good value guy. Does really well when you give him certain attachments too. I like Tsukagi. I got no problems here.
Yeah, not much to say, but he's just really good.
Might find himself in sort of military dueling decks as well.
Absolutely. It's the kind of deck that like the variants you were playing where you can sort of drop a come one and do a little tiny bit of dueling on the side. Like that 4-chi ain't nothing.
Yep. So I like this guy quite a lot. He's a card that sort of hits my sweet spots. And that leaves us with Yodo Sensei.
YOLO Sensei. So
yeah,
this is an interesting sensei because it's almost all upside.
Except you lose your starting ring, which is a significant.
I said almost.
Okay, but I feel like it's more than almost, but I'm with you.
Oh well, I mean it's just like a straight +2 province strength is huge.
So 9. Dragon's one of the weird ones that doesn't adjust first or second, so now you're just always 9, which is really big.
They went down
9 going
now.
first.
Their go first is only 6 now.
Oh, sure.
So
okay,
it's 8, 9.
8 going first ain't nothing though.
Yeah. Let's see. It's 6 on the front, 7 on the back.
It might have always been that way, to be truthful.
But the trait Like this could accelerate you quite a bit.
So it specifically says action. So some like you can't like your second city dojo doesn't turn into buy this holding gain and honor, but it does turn secrets on the wind into gain
Bowing
and
in honor.
honor. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's solid, man. That's really solid. Um, I think this might be a very powerful deck. I think it might be a really powerful sensei. Slander is a big hole, and you don't want to turn your slander into just bow and gain and honor. But something like sanctioned duel, like now it's gaining you 3 honor instead of 2. Like there's a lot of things that sort of dishonor that get you just a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's a really good sensei. The fact that it doesn't have -1 gold,
Right. That's the thing about it. So
shocked by it.
the thing I love the most about this sensei is how it really just spits on the Tamori sensei of like
Yep.
that sensei is like bow your guy and reach around your head and touch your nose and maybe gain honor. This is like just gain an honor and don't lose any gold and have a bunch of province strength and feel good about yourself.
It's also worth pointing out, and it's sort of awkward, but there's a question about like, is this good enough to justify running something like a Scorpion Bayushi Suzuka, right? Where like
Mm-hmm.
you're sort of like changing, like reduce. I don't think you would eliminate, but you reduce the number of proclaimable guys you have. Just like the sensei might be good enough, like that it's actually worth playing stuff that's just like I'm just gonna dishonor you with this action here from a guy that's out of faction.
Yeah, you'd have to go back to the pool and see all of the dishonor actions that are available.
The only one that
Secrets,
comes to mind right now is Shizuka, but there's also the Scorpion Love Letter guy. Like I
right?
could
And
see a
that's we're talking
version
about
where you're
like those
right, where it's
two.
like I dishonor your guy, I re-honor your guy, I dishonor your guy again, something like that. It feels maybe I think it's too reach around your head
I mean, yeah,
to
we're
touch.
like we're getting into alliance deck territory here,
Yep.
but the payoff's almost big enough. Yeah, I can see the sensei generating between 8 to 10 honor in a game pretty easily. And that's like a quarter of the way.
Yep. And it turns things like Unrequited Love, now it's just a fate card, now it's to tell the tale kind of thing. I mean,
Hmm.
there's some really interesting sort of dishonoring effects and stuff out there. It's going to take some exploration to see if it's good enough, but it's certainly good, right? And
Right.
just gaining a province strength bonus ain't nothing, right? Like that helps a lot.
Yeah. All my commentary for a card like this, it's similar to what I was talking about with Hakiseki Sensei. That it's a straight math question of like how much honor can this gain you over the course of the game and for what amount of work. So like if we add Shizuka and the Love Letter guy and we play the secrets, like how does that affect our proclaim clock and what turn does it make us honor out on it?
Right, and so I'm trying to think. So I'm going to do this thing I do where it's like I assume that if the cards was good, I'd be able to. So I know obviously secrets and sanctioned duel come to mind right away.
Hmm.
There's a card that's like open, target them if they attack. They're dishonored, and you gain 2, so it's good there. Um, and there's like a magistrate card that's like give them -2 force, bar your magistrate, dishonor him, and like
Hmm.
that's about it. So you really to get great value, you really need repetitive honor loss, right? Just doing it off fate cards probably like adding one
No.
honor to the fate card
Yeah, that's
doesn't
not that's not what
pop
this card's all
over.
about.
So I think secrets is still going to be the big play at the end of the day,
Hmm.
and I don't know if that's enough. At the moment, I tend to think it's not, but
And the card just might not be there yet. But what we're doing is
yeah.
we're sitting around waiting for something like a Justice of the Crane to wander into our lives, like where they just splash a dishonor onto something, and then we can recursively use it to
Yep.
to gain more
Yeah.
honor over the course of the game.
Yep. I think that if it was gain 2 honor, it'd be really good. At 1 honor, it's just you need a lot of hits. But for Dragon Honor, they needed some kind of other accelerant effect, and this I prefer this a lot to the if you don't attack me, gain an honor.
Absolutely. And so like I said, like if you can make this give you 8, like if Secrets is good enough to get you 8 honor, and that doesn't affect your proclaim clock at all. You just slot in 3 Secrets
Yep.
on the wind. You play like you can just play the Luke Gregory Tamori Sensei Shugenja deck with this and 3 Secrets on the wind, and then is that going to get you enough honor? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like that's the sort of direction that I'd be looking at taking this in out the box. And then maybe up the road there's something that's a little more clever that you can play some of the limited phase or some battle phase stuff. But right away I wouldn't worry about it.
Yep. And, does it construct an honor dishonor deck? Maybe, but I don't think that's where I'd be looking. I think if I'm going to play dishonor, I'm not trying to do it out of dragon.
But this is for your changing the game deck. Another
Political
card
stand.
for that. Yeah, political standoff deck. So I think dragon, despite not being very sexy, came away with a lot of toys. As
a guy who plays a lot of dragon, I'm really excited about what dragon have going on for him. I think there's some really cool stuff happening. Every faction got a little bit of sort of a dump. Like here's a dump of cards for Jester. Here's a dump of cards for Fear Dueling. Here's a dump of cards for whatever. I just feel like dragons fit the most. The best.
Dragon's an interesting faction. I don't feel like they got a dump. I feel like they just got a bunch of good guys.
I feel like the things that were dumped on them have sort of cross purposes.
Or it's like they have magistrates. Magistrates isn't like Jesters where it's this whole build around theme. They're just here's some guys with the keyword, and they're still guys with numbers. So there's nothing wrong with that. Now that their guys have the magistrate trait slapped on there and they've got 3 PH, that's just all upside.
Yep. So, Dragon's a big winner for me.
Absolutely. And Dragon's already a really good deck. I think that the deck that we showcased already is a powerful one, and it's done nothing but gotten better with all this. They do a lot of things really well, and they have a lot of tools going into 20 festivals, and this just adds more to it.
Yep.
All right, everybody. So that was Dragon. Let us know what you think. Leave a comment. Talk to us. We're listening.
Facebooks and Twitters and things. We'd love to see what other people are sort of, experimenting in. We're a week or two into the cards being out there and previewed. We'd love to see, some deck lists and some thoughts and hear some commentary. So I'm Paul, that's Jesse, and this has certainly been Enough Talk.
Hang loose, everybody.